Welcome back to the Catholic on Purpose podcast. Today we're talking about how to have fun with your spouse.
All right.
Today we're going to do things a little bit different. Instead of focusing on, normally we have it divided right between what and how of Catholicism.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it's our little thing we do, the little Cosa Nostra we got. But instead of doing that, we're just going to kind of talk about ways to have fun with your spouse. I think we've all seen the statistics that with the pandemic, quarantine, everybody's stuck in the house together. Domestic abuse rates are definitely on the rise. We've all seen the videos where, the woman holds up her hand and shows the domestic abuse sign. So, or, that you can call 911 here in America, right, and order a pepperoni pizza, and that's the sign for domestic abuse for ambulance. The fact that we have to have those signs and that we are now all aware of them is a little bit scary, right? On top of this uncertainty during a pandemic and everything else, now we have this added level to everything. So we just wanted to talk about, what are some ways that we can look into as couples to have fun in your marriage. Maybe it's not quarantine, maybe that's not the issue, but maybe you've been married a while and things are boring. I don't know. We've been married almost 8 years now.
Chewy.
And on top of that length of marriage, I've spent my entire adult life with Casey.
Man, that's just just think about the small crosses that you have to face in your life. This is a rather large one for you.
I'm dragging him along with me. No, I'm just kidding. But just, things get boring or what have you.
Excuse you? Speak for yourself.
So we just wanted to talk about that today. So for me, the first thing I want to talk about is turn off your phone, turn off your TV, sit together for a minute, in the evenings, that kind of thing. Just take away some of the distractions in your life.
I'm a big fan of porch sitting.
Yeah.
Specifically the front porch. I don't know why. I'm not a big back porch sitter. I'm a front porch sitter.
It's like an Alan Jackson song or something.
Sitting on the front porch. And just leaving the stuff inside, like the distraction and noise, and just going and sitting on the front porch and chit-chatting, I think is therapeutic.
Yeah, and it gives you that time to kind of, decompress, but, especially we have kids, and a lot of couples have kids, but even if you don't, you have a busy day. So that time to come together at the end and kind of recalibrate and reconnect a little bit. Obviously, I'm talking about after the kids are in bed or, that kind of thing, so they're not
burning the house down.
yeah, driving you crazy and everything. But, just that time to say what happened in your day, because it is so easy to get caught up in everything in life.
The good thing about porch sitting too is you can just notice things going on outside. It's just a change of scene. You're not drawn to those distractions as much, I don't think. And two, you can compare yourself with your neighbors and see how much better you do at your lawn care. Just kidding.
No, listen. So our neighbors won yard of the month.
Lot of the month.
And it has. I'm pretty salty about it, to be honest, y'all.
She just goes. They have their work done. They don't do their own
I
yard.
just don't think that's fair. Anyway, let's move on.
Before Aaron gets salty on the podcast.
Anyway, take your phone away. Turn the TV off. I mean, I don't know. If you only get in 1 hour of Desperate Housewives as opposed to 10 this week, I think you'll be all right.
You'll survive. That is all.
What
reference.
year is it?
Yeah, wow.
Anyway.
Throwback.
Yeah. But that brings me to my next point, was go outside together. And maybe that is sitting on a porch. Or maybe that's working on a garden together. Just get outside, or maybe you have a kiddie pool in the backyard.
There you go. Go wild.
Yeah.
Put your feet in the kiddie pool.
A sprinkler, anything.
Okay.
Oh.
This just shows you how the lockdown has gotten to our heads. They're like, what are you gonna do? Let's go run back in the sprinkler. Yeah!
Well, we did have a slip and slide for a minute.
Erin had a rough time with that one. I think she overdid it one
Slip
day
and
for like
slide
a week.
injuries.
For a week, she was talking about how sore she was from the slip and slide. So
Yeah, no more slip and slide in our house.
slip and slide.
Just take your outdoor activities gently.
Yeah, right.
Easily, right.
Don't go full bore on the slip and slide this week, y'all.
But getting outside together, then you have these times that you can be made fun of for your slip and slide injuries.
And you have material for your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that we've done in the past that we've really enjoyed is reading together. I mean, we do it ongoing, but one thing we've done quite a bit is reading together, like as in
not quiet, like
yes,
with our own book.
Yeah. So
you can do that, though.
Casey will generally read out loud to me, and I enjoy that in the evenings. I usually will work on like some cross stitch or whatever craft I've got going at the moment, and he'll read to me, and that is just, I don't know, it feels kind of like we're in Little House on the Prairie when we do it, you know.
Ma, which book should I read to you today?
Yeah. Need to settle by the fire with Paul or something. I don't know. But it is a good way to just kind of settle your mind, but then it gives you some material to meet on, you know, to kind of, you know, that hit me, that struck me, that was really profound to me. Right. I really got a lot out of that. And I really enjoyed just sitting and listening to Casey read to me. It's like an audiobook in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of those cool voices. Who is it that narrates everything?
Morgan Freeman.
Basically the Morgan Freeman of reading books.
Yeah.
And then on chapter
4. No, not even a little bit. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Anyway, I thinking about that, I'm not sure that we've read in the past, they've not been super dense, but they've also not been just kind of fluffy, fictional. I mean, not that fiction is necessarily fluffy, but they've been somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Readable and
and interesting.
Down, but at the same time, interesting.
And we've done it as a family as well before, if you want to incorporate your kids with it, of course. Like we've read some of the Chronicles of Narnia that way, and some of Little House on the Prairie that way with the kids. But doing it just the two of us has been very fun. We've also done it with, I really like the podcasts, of course, but kind of like the mystery story ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And just listening together and like kind of like a whodunnit. We like that kind of stuff anyway. So.
We'll also listen to Catholic on Purpose over and over.
That does not happen. No.
It's rather unhealthy.
That's not true. One thing we did at the beginning of marriage, and we've kind of just kept it, honestly, off and on through the years, is playing board games. The first year probably of marriage, we didn't have a TV. And so we just played Trivial Pursuit.
Okay. And so I come from a family where I thought I dominated pretty good at some Trivial Pursuit. And then I come in and I marry this woman and we sit down and she just demolishes me every single time. I think she takes the cards from the game to bed at night and like memorizes them and puts them under her pillow and goes to sleep and wakes up. It'll be something so weird. The Peanut was created in 1922 under which railway carriage? And she'd be like, the Fussel wagon. And you're like, yes, that's correct. What? Anyway, it is fun though when I'm getting demolished.
It is fun to just that kind of stuff, because some of it's so random. You're like,
why is this?
What is this? Like, who knows this? And usually it's me.
Yeah. Humility not in her
No.
list of traits.
Yeah, but we do really like board games, but and we've tried them with the kids. They're not very fun with the kids, to be honest.
Well,
Not Trivial Pursuit.
we've not
the way
tried that
I
one.
play.
Hey, kids.
But we have done like Sorry in Trouble. That's fun with kids.
Mm-hmm.
But just, if you have time in the evenings or whenever you have free time away from your kids, I think that's the thing. Finding time to meet together as a couple and do fun stuff together. I feel like after you're married, whether you have kids or not, you get to a point where you just don't look for time to have fun together.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dating, that's it. That's all it is when you're dating, is finding time to have fun together.
Yeah.
Because you're going on dates. And then when you get married,
it's easy to let legitimate responsibilities consume you in a way, or make you feel obligated to where you just don't have time for that.
mm-hmm.
When really it should be the thing that you make time for.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things on the top of your list that you should make time for, because heaven forbid, that start to drive a wedge, or you just get in a routine and you don't show love to one another that way.
Yeah. And, I even said at the beginning, like, turn off the TV. I will say there have been times that we have really enjoyed a TV series together. We've watched all of the Father Brown series. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. But just at the same time, it's the same thing with reading a book together. It's something that we can come together and say, oh, I really enjoyed that. This is why I really enjoyed it. And those things are just a springboard for further conversation, for further relationship between the two of you. Yeah.
And even on a light note, I'm thinking about a series we were watching now, and it's kind of like murder mystery stuff. And a lot of times, this was it was early 2000s, so you wouldn't think it'd be too cheesy, but it is sometimes. And, the person committing the crime will be right up on top of the person, and the person about to get hit or whatever just looks at him for like 20 minutes. Oh, you? Oh, my. Don't hit me with that blunt object. And it's just being able to just laugh at that, and then little things like that throughout. And like, oh, good grief, Margaret, get out of the way. Run, Margaret, and being able to do that and talk to the TV with each other. Sounds a little crazy, but you're listening to the podcast, so who's crazy? Okay.
Yeah. And a last thing I want to talk about is talking about your hopes, dreams, desires for your future together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important in a marriage, because it's so easy to grow apart. Does that make sense? I don't mean that, I just don't feel it anymore. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you each grow as human beings, right? You develop. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to develop in a way that is at a different rate than your spouse, or in a different way than your spouse. And so maybe some of your values change. I'm not talking about your faith values. That should always, always, always be the same, right? Unless,
strive for it.
Yes, improving, mm-hmm. not worsening. Mm-hmm. That is. But I mean, maybe you really had some strong financial goals. Things have changed. Maybe now you've moved toward having more educational goals, or maybe vice versa, that kind of thing. I think it's an important time as a couple to sit down and say, this is where I am. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm looking forward to in the future. I'm looking forward to this educational step. I'm looking forward to paying off our house. I'm looking forward to when the kids move out and we can go on a big trip together, just the two of us, or whatever that looks like for you. I think that's important, not just because it's something fun to do, although it is, but just for the practicality, to keep you all on that same page of having goals together. Maybe some are individual, but together, this is what we as a couple are working towards.
Yeah, just in general, that's a good, I don't know if it's psychological, emotional, just have those concrete steps ahead of you. Because sometimes, we all get bogged down with life a lot of times and think, wow, we're spinning our wheels, we're not really getting anywhere. I think about, I do that a lot with finances. Not that we're in a bad financial spot, but man, there's goals I'd like to meet, and just sitting and being very concrete with, hey, listen, if we did this and this, we could see this movement, and we could get here by this date. Well, that's very motivating, and then and then being able to do that together and focus on that together, it builds your relationship, it strengthens your relationship to be able to do that. So, being open and honest, and when there's something that's bugging you, a lot of times at least I do, I want to die a martyr. I want to do this.
I don't deserve it.
I don't deserve it, so I'm just gonna let it pass.
Do y'all see the heavy cross I'm bearing right here?
That'd be alright. But being open and honest about it, and just saying, hey, what do you think about this? And 9 times out of 10, things are much better once you're just open and honest about it, and say, hey, this is what's on my mind. What do you think?
Yeah, I think.
I still don't have my yacht, and I've mentioned that to her several times.
Still hasn't appeared. I don't know about that one.
I've been open and honest with you about it. If you would like to donate a yacht to Catholic Nonprofit, I don't really want a yacht. I don't want a yacht.
I think we can sit and there's so many obvious things that we would tell you, for if you're having trouble in your marriage or whatever. Obviously, we would definitely say, go to mass together, pray together, those kind of things.
And if it's serious, you go to counseling.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Of course.
No.
But if you're just kind of, I don't know, bored, or like quarantine's getting to you, and I have stared at that face for the last, I don't know how many weeks, and if he doesn't stop doing that weird thing with his left eye where he winks a little bit sometimes, I'm gonna smack him.
At least I can wink.
Shut up.
She does this whole facial contortion thing to wink. Like,
And I still cannot.
For those of you listening, I just made a really weird face.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway. But you know what I mean? It's just, sometimes they drive you crazy. And I know I drive Casey crazy too.
Oh, I don't know what you mean, honey.
You're done. But it just, finding those ways to loosen up, to relax together, to not be stressed about everything else that there is. And there's so much to be stressed about right now. But finding the way to not be, to just relax and love each other. We have a friend that's always says, I just want to love on you. Like, that's what we need. I just want to love on you. And just come together and just have time together to love each other.
Yeah, I think that's good. So I want to wrap up with a quote from St. John Paul II on love, specifically between men and women as spouses. He says, love is never something ready-made, something merely given to man and woman. It is always at the same time a task which they are set. Love should be seen as something which in a sense never is, but is always only becoming. And what it becomes depends upon the contribution of both persons and the depth of their commitment.
Love that.
This week, let's be Catholic.
On purpose.
On purpose.